Look, if you're still buying weed from some guy named Trevor in a parking lot, you're doing it wrong. Mood.com delivers legal THC products straight to your door. Gummies, vapes, flour, the good stuff. No sketchy DMs, no med card. Just add to cart, checkout, and boom, it's at your doorstep. It's legal in all 50 states thanks to the Farm Bill, and Mood's products actually work. Seriously, this isn't gas station garbage. It's small batch, lab tested, real results. Go to mood.com, use code FIRST20 for 20% off, and never run dry again. That's mood.com. Go get lit, legally.
Kempire is brought to you by...
We have officially kicked off our Kempire After Dark, the Villain Era live experience tour. Philly, you were fantastic. We talked about so much during that show. From hot topics to Real Housewives, we covered everything. I need a 3-hour show. Unfortunately, they won't give it to us, but it's okay. It's okay. We can end up talking about all of these hot topics during the meet and greets as well. I'm coming to Atlanta on August 5th, then DC on August 22nd, then back in New York City on September 12th. So excited to meet and greet with you guys. All of the shows have meet and greets available, but the New York City show has a live stream option. So if you're around the country or around the world, you have an opportunity to experience the Kempire After Dark, the Villain Era for yourself. Head on over to the description of this podcast episode for details on how you can get tickets for when we come to Atlanta, DC, or our New York City show. I'll see you guys all in a couple of weeks. Yeah, see you guys soon.
You're listening to Kempire here on the Kempire Radio Network.
What's going on, everyone? Can you guys hear me and see me? All right, enough of that. Welcome back to the Kempire channel, your number one source for pop culture news and music, entertainment, reality TV, and so much more. Don't forget to like the video. It's an easy and free way of supporting not just my channel, but other channels as well. We're talking about the Real Housewives of Miami. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, and on Facebook. Did I say Facebook? Yeah. All right, so Real Housewives of Miami, if you had to rate this week's episode from 1 to 10, how would you rate it? It still was a good episode, but I'm a little concerned with this cast. And this is why I always say with reality television that when people are on reality television for too long, people start to get territorial, people start relying on that check, people start self-producing. And I'm a little concerned that with everyone talking about how much they love Miami and they love the cast, it's going to some of these folks' head. It is definitely going to some of these folks' head. And then there are some problematic things that are happening on this season that makes it really hard to watch for the most part. And I'm a little concerned that that's going to just get worse. And I love Real Housewives of Miami. I've loved it since their reboot. I enjoyed the first 2 seasons. Season 3, I understood why it got put on pause for so long. Okay. But now I'm concerned with what's happening with this cast, especially when you see the hypocrisy of their reaction this week. It's quite telling. And I don't want them to necessarily just change their reaction or here comes the reunion and all of a sudden the reunion, you know what, Gertie, after watching back this season. No, I really want you guys to really take a heartfelt look to your difference in reaction. I thought they would have had a bigger reaction after Gertie was drenched in water. I thought they would have been like, Julia, you can't do that. And they did not do that. They just was like, oh. But Gertie shows a bunch of text message, and that's where you guys draw the line. This is disgusting. Go pay attention to the words that were used and who were using those words and how they had to exit the party and how offended they were when Stephanie was just like, I'm going to stay. I'm going to hear what they have to say. And Alexia's like, you can't be neutral. You're a mean girl, Alexia, and you and Marisol are the head of the mean girls. And let's be honest, if Marisol and Alexia were to leave this cast, I think we'd be okay. I think we would be okay. But Julia, you first. Because you must have lost your head this season. You must have decided, I don't know why you would leave a friendship that you've had with Adriana. And again, we know it's reality television. Were they as close as they pretended to be on those first couple of seasons? I mean, the way that they were acting, we thought that they were more than close, right? So I don't understand what's happening this season when it comes to their friendship. Adriana's been in my mentions on Instagram in regards to each episode that I've been recapping, because I do like under a minute. They haven't been under a minute, like a couple of minute recap, and she's co-signing a lot of the stuff that I'm saying. So I'm wondering what exactly went wrong in their friendship. I don't know. It's kind of weird to go from besties to now, but it's very clear what happened. It seems as if Julia wants to be a part of the Marisol and Alexia clique. Okay. But again, and here's the thing, Adriana, I know you'll watch this. The fact that what we've seen in Julia and Martina's relationship, she barely has loyalty to Martina, if we're going to be honest. Come on. So I'm not surprised that she doesn't have loyalty in a friendship. Right? So, all right, I've digressed. Today's live show is brought to you by our friends over at Factor Meals. Factor, it makes it so easy, especially on busy days for you. And for those that, like me, do not want to cook during the summer, who wants to turn on your oven? Who wants to turn on your stove? Who wants to do any of that during the summer months? So between busy schedules and summer plans, sometimes all I've got is a couple of minutes. Factor helps me eat smarter with tasty chef prep meals that are dietitian approved and delivered right to my door. And now with more than 65 weekly meals made for how I live and what I like to eat, I've gotten even more ways to fit in a real meal wherever the day takes me. All right. So of course I've gotten you a deal from our friends over at Factor. Eat smart at factormeals.com/Kempire50 off and use code Kempire50 off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code Kempire50 off at factormeals.com at factormeals.com at factormeals.com/Kempire50 off for 50% off plus free shipping. Get delicious, ready-to-eat meals delivered with Factor. More information on Factor and your deal will be available in the description. Okay. All right. I jumped in outside of what I wanted to talk about. Normally we go from scene to scene to scene. I will say for the most part, there weren't a lot of scenes that are worth talking about. I will talk about them because a lot of you don't watch the show. You watch my recaps. I appreciate that, but there are some people that do want a play-by-play as to what happened. I won't go play-by-play. I will talk about what happened in these scenes. Let me say thank you because we had a couple of super chats. I love Calm Peace. Thank you so much for being a member and for the super chats. Can you add Brooke and Tiara? I want to hear y'all. We are going to bring them back here on the channel, so stay tuned. Nagawa? I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Thank you for the... Thank you for the super chat. Nagawa says, Scissor Sisters, child. Scissoring. We going to be scissoring. Coca says, what's the code again? The code is Kempire50 off. Kempire50 off. That's 50 and OFF. Kempire50 off. For 50% off your first box, factormeals.com, or you can head on over to our YouTube for the link in the description. Thank you, Nagawa, for the super chat. Seniors 11, thank you so much for being a member and for the super chat. Senior says, clock it, Camp. Now they all feel uncomfortable. It was a public humiliation and they are disgusted. Crickets. Crickets when Gertie was assaulted. Hypocrites. I agree. And the thing is, it was all caught on tape. It's all caught on video. The difference in reactions. And it's very clear to a lot of us that are watching this. And I don't care if people are uncomfortable with us bringing these micro and macro aggressions up. It's obvious, especially in a situation like this. It's like your reaction versus someone getting drenched in water and publicly humiliated, and that's being filmed and then rehashed, versus what we're seeing now. And then what we hear Marisol say in interviews, I think they're both wrong. Really? And are you going to use this text message exchange as the way to justify that they're both wrong? No, Marisol, you're wrong. And you're still desperate trying to get full-time on the show, and they still won't give it to you. What does that say about you? What does that say about you? Julia is boring as watching paint dry, and they still won't give you a full mojito. Oh, woo, woo, woo.
Fuck your flowers.
Oh, that too.
Woo, woo, woo.
They still won't give it to you. Every antic. Your own best friend called you out for getting married to your lavender marriage. Your own best friend called you out saying that you only got married to Steve so that you could get a full-time mojito, and they still didn't give it to you. They still won't give it to you. I don't think any of these women like Gertie. The only person I think that might actually like Gertie is Dr. Nicole. Dr. Nicole will be making an appearance next week. I think Adriana, but here's the thing. I don't know Adriana's dynamic with Gertie, but I also feel like Adriana's friendship with Gertie now is sort of an alliance because everyone is pushing her out. So I don't know how genuine that friendship is. But again, we don't get to see how genuine that friendship is on this show. However, right now it feels more like an alliance because they never were as tight since the reboot, Gertie and Adriana. But I'm here for it. At least someone has Gertie's back because none of these other people do. It's weird. And here's the thing. I'm so glad they reminded us what happened in last week's episode because I was sort of like, okay, where's the text? Why are we showing these text messages right now? Because I almost forgot what happened last week at the narcissist party. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. They weren't necessarily in the best place during the narcissist party. Now this is lavender marriage. Google it. All right. Let me start from the beginning. Guys, if you're just joining us, we're talking about the Real Housewives of Miami. Don't forget to like the video. It's easy and free way of supporting not just my channel, but other channels as well. Excuse me, y'all. I just had a shake. Julia invites Alexia and Adriana to her farm to meet the boys. And I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to keep saying it. I am a little uncomfortable with what's been playing out this season with Julia and Gertie, especially finding out that she adopted 2 black boys. I've already gone through why I have concerns. I don't think that they necessarily are bad parents, but they also have to understand there's a different dynamic now that you're raising 2 black boys in Florida, in this world that we live in America, okay? You now have to be even more diligent as to doing what you need to do to protect those boys and understanding how those boys are going to show up in the world. I'm not going to go through all of what I've already talked about when it comes to that. Sidebar, why are people still wearing Balenciaga? Y'all notice they had the little child when Balenciaga was called out for their disgusting ad using children. Why are we still dressing people up in Balenciaga? Oh, because Kim Kardashian has forgiven them? I just found that to be interesting. I also found that to be, what's the word? I found it to be interesting that you would put your children in that. Can you say tone deaf with me? Tone deaf. Tone deaf. I would never dress my child up in Balenciaga at this particular point. But that's me. But okay, they're tone deaf in all ways, okay? Anyway, we have some more super chats. Thank you so much, Amber, for the super chat. Amber says, long overdue for Gertie to put Julia on blast. My mom died of pancreatic cancer. Is that what you're saying? Pancan? The sensitive Sag in me was like, yes, but not here. At least those heifers know. Now don't play in her face again. But I have to give it to the editors. They really showed us the context to the text. It wasn't just sort of like Gertie wanted to show that. Gertie literally planned that at the last minute. It wasn't like, oh, she invited Julia just to do that. She was triggered that Julia was still trying to make herself out to be the victim to Russell. She was still trying to make hopefully we can move on. And Gertie's like, how are we moving on when just last week you were asking this guy questions in front of the group when we decided that we weren't going to talk about our issues in front of the group? You broke the rules, Julia. Now all rules are broken. And I'm so sorry to hear about your mom, Amber. It's me, MK. Thank you so much for being a member for the super chat. MK says, as a black woman, these shows are becoming triggering, unbearable, and increasingly unwatchable. I felt for Gertie when they walked out, such bullies. And this is why a lot of you keep asking me about, am I watching Next Gen NYC? Even in a different generation, we're seeing these microaggressions towards Riley, a black woman, on another Bravo show. I'm just like, y'all want me to watch that and recap that? How many black women do I need to talk about on this platform, a Bravo-related show, and their microaggressions? Y'all don't think I get a little triggered too? Talking about this stuff? But yeah. So that's hence why I haven't really talked about that. But Don't forget the Kempire After Dark live experience is coming to Atlanta in less than 2 weeks. Atlanta, are y'all coming? Because I won't come again. Look. We have not sold out yet, Atlanta, so go get your tickets for the Kempire After Dark, the Villain Era live show, where I'll talk about a bunch of stuff that I don't talk about necessarily here, and where tea will be spilled. And then we're coming back to DC on August 22nd, and then back here in New York City on September 12th. Go get your tickets today. The New York City show has a live stream option also available. So for those that can't make it to any of the shows, or maybe you're coming to the show and what we say in those other cities won't be what we say come September. So go get your tickets today. More information will be available in the description. And TikTok, you can find the info in my bio. All right. Let me move on because there's not a lot. I'm not going to stay here long to talk about this because I didn't feel like this was their best episode. If I had to rate this week's episode, besides like I think Gertie posting the text messages was probably a highlight. But for the most part, I didn't love the episode. I felt like it was like, I'd probably give this episode like a 6.5. All right. I know that's right. Ari says, I got my tickets. Hashtag ATL. I love your new picture, Ari. All right. Let me get back to this. So Julia has Alexia and Adriana at her farm. So we get to see the boys for the very first time, Luca and Jackson. All right. And Julia says, Martina feels like she's like 10 years younger around the boys. And but she's not. Look. Because I think she's probably also responding to all the critics of why are you adopting these young boys when you guys are an older couple? Fine. All right. That they have the money and the means to do so. Okay. So she's and it was sweet. And I think I probably would, again, look at this storyline a little bit differently if we didn't see what we saw between Julia and Gertie during the season. Now I'm just looking at them like, protect those boys from them. So we're on the farm. The boys are playing around. Adriana arrives. Adriana's like, can I come close? I thought that was a little interesting. But again, we have to remember the boys have had some trauma. So that might be the reason why Adriana is being a little sensitive in regards to distance and things like that. But Martina's like, oh, no, come. So I thought, but I also have to be reminded, we're watching an edited show. I feel like a lot more has happened in Adriana and Julia's friendship that we're not seeing because they're not as close as they used to be. How are you besties one season and all of a sudden now it's like, what is happening right now? Okay. So then Alexia arrives. Alexia arrives with donuts and things like that. Apparently Alexia met them before Adriana because the boys know her. Again, weird. Let me just tell you this again, Julia. If you're no longer on the show, Marisol and Alexia will not know you. They will not care. And if they do care about you, it's because of Martina. And maybe Martina's hosting some sort of event or gives you access to a certain level of celebrity. That's the only reason why they will be around you. If you're no longer on the show, please understand they will no longer be your friend. And Auntie Alexia won't be around. I said it. All right. It was interesting. Adriana and Alexia were competing with their neon colors, but they were also competing for who's the best Tia here. Okay. So Alexia is holding one of the boys, feeding him a donut, blah, 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 whatever. Kuramo FaceTimes with Julia. Do you guys think that this whole Kuramo edition was strategic? That's all I could see, because I've never seen Julia and Kuramo have this big friendship. But again, maybe they do. I thought it was strategic, though, especially with the way the season had started. And I'm sure production was probably like, Julia, you're not looking great. You're not looking great. And like I said to you before, one of the questions I felt like the social worker should have asked, instead of, is there going to be a male figure? I think the social worker, and again, we're watching an edited show, I think the social worker should have been like, so, you are raising 2 black boys and you are black women. You are white women. Have you addressed how that's going to play out in regards to understanding where they're coming from and how they will be viewed in the world? I don't know, but the whole Kuramo element felt a little forced. It felt a little performative. It felt a little strategic. It felt a little, and again, I'm not saying that it is. I'm just saying that's what came to mind. And this is my review. It felt like, interesting choice of person. to have this moment with. But okay. So Kuramo invites them he's being honored at this event in Miami. Okay, she says that her and Kuramo have been friends and blah, 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 blah. Pageant mommy says Kuramo is a given token and looks proud to be one. Huh? I'm just saying, I said this last week, even the little preview of Kuramo, like, oh my God, I was like, is Kuramo always like this? Because I feel like I've seen him in so many different spaces, and I've never seen him act this way. But okay, all right. Oh, see, Angel says Kempire looks better on Twitch, but nobody's in the chat. Hey, Twitch fam. See, look, shout out. Oh, here's Angel. Angel's a goddess. Go follow me on Twitch, y'all. If you're not following me on Twitch, TheKempire on Twitch. I'm streaming in 4K. And Angel on Twitch says, OMG, they weren't lying. Kempire, you look fire on Twitch, watching side by side with YouTube. You have to understand, these different platforms stream differently. Even though I'm streaming in 4K, I think when I stream through certain platforms, they downgrade it. But Twitch, I stream in 4K. So just an FYI, if you want to see me and you want to see every crevice of my facial routine. Okay. Anyway. Thank you so much, Angel, for being there and watching. Oh, and Nelson's here. Nelson's in the chat. Tess is in the chat. What's going on? Layla's in the chat. Okay. I see you guys on Twitch. We're going to do some Twitch streaming exclusively. So make sure you follow me on Twitch. And you never know when I'm going to pop up there. It's going to be right from my phone probably. And I'm going to stream from Twitch. So make sure you guys are following me there. Okay. So Kuramo invites him to this event. Next scene, Larsa and Stephanie. Here's the thing. I already know people are going to say this. Okay, Larsa's storyline again is her looking for a home, buying a home, renovating a home. So this is the first time that Larsa has bought a home on her own. Okay. And Foxy says, you look just fine on YouTube too. I'm sure I do, but I'm streaming in 4K. The top quality of 4K, you're probably not going to see through YouTube. But whatever works for you guys. As I said to you before, I probably will be doing some exclusive Twitch stuff as well. There's a huge community on Twitch. I've been on Twitch. We always stream on Twitch when we go live for the last few years. A lot of you just don't follow me there. But we tell you that we love, the quality is top tier there. All right. Layla says Twitch is definitely it. Nelson says, same here. Twitch looks so good. Thank you, Nelson. And Twitch is low-key ahead of YouTube. Hashtag just saying. Well, I mean, like I said, there's a huge community on Twitch. Vicky always watches us on Facebook. She says, I like you on Facebook. See? Okay. Patricia says, the closet is the home. Ooh. Well, here's the thing. That seems to be, at least in this scene, Stephanie and Larsa are at this place because she's redoing her closet. She loves her new apartment, but she bought a new home. It's the first time she's ever bought a home on her own. I mean, this is Larsa's storyline. I'd much rather Larsa do this than bring some sort of fake boyfriend. I know she has a real one now. Instead of bringing some fake boyfriend or some fake relationship. Look, I love property. I still think that Larsa brings what you need to bring amongst this group sometimes. Sometimes, not all the time. So I'm okay. I'm okay with her, and because I also like to look at decor. So I was like this all up in the closet. Stephanie says she is a self-diagnosed, has OCD, because she's like, what about the fingerprints on the glass? I was like, that would not be, and mind you, I don't have OCD, but I wouldn't want that either. Okay. And I'm just sort of like, why would there be fingerprints? And then this is where Stephanie talks about she doesn't believe in boogers and Birkins and she doesn't want to have children and things like that. Probably why she doesn't see the value in Masood and his relationship with his own children that are suing him for taking millions of dollars, allegedly, millions of dollars out of their trust. So if you don't see value in children, and I'm not saying because I don't have any children, and I probably won't have any children, but I heard the way she spoke about the kids, I was sort of like, it's not the fact that you don't want to have kids. It sounds like you hate kids. There is a difference, okay? So she says, what about the fingerprints? And Larsa's like, well, there are handles, so you don't have to have fingerprints. That wouldn't have been my first thought. And it's not like Larsa has young kids. You know what I mean? All right, so we have that scene. They talk about that. Larsa updates Stephanie on her conversation with Lisa, based off of the way that Larsa describes his conversation to Stephanie. Stephanie's like, I don't think it's over between Larsa and Lisa. I hope that it's over between Larsa and Lisa. I felt like their conversation was much needed, but if you follow social media, it doesn't. They've said some things about each other on social media, or at least Lisa has, that sort of like, okay, I guess they're not in the best space. I guess we'll have to see at the reunion. We shall see. So then fast forward, we get to Karamo's event. So we're at Karamo's event. Uh-oh, I'm frozen. Please hold. Mercury's in retrograde. Keep tapping your screens, TikTok, and those of you that are watching on YouTube, don't forget to like the video. Like the video. I didn't feel like jumping off this chair. All right. There we go. All right. Pageant Mommy says, I'm okay with Stephanie or any woman who doesn't want to procreate. I don't think there's anything wrong with her not wanting to procreate, especially as someone that probably will not have children myself. It was the way she said it that I was sort of like, I was like, that was an interesting response. And then when you hear about his relationship with his kids, Masood's relationship with his kids, you're like, someone like that probably is not encouraging or understanding of fostering that relationship with Masood and his children. All right. So we get to Karamo's event. All right. Karamo's being honored by this LGBT organization for his work within the LGBT community. But before we even get to the event, Stephanie picks up Marisol in her Rolls Royce. And she's like, oh, I have a little surprise for you. So she opens up the glove compartment and she's got like a whole little bar situation. And she's like, I know the way to your heart is with a cocky. Fine. All right. Marisol is just like, my Rolls Royce does not have this. I must have the Nissan of Rolls Royces. I didn't even realize she had a Rolls Royce. I know she had a PR firm, but what does she do now for money? I know she also launched like a liquor thing. It always makes me wonder. I'm like, how are they making their money? And not to say that her money's funny, but I'm just interested. And I mean, she did very well for herself when she was like one of the it crowds back in the day when she had her PR firm. So I don't know. But anyway, so she talked about, she gives an update because she had a colonoscopy at 57. When are you supposed to start having colonoscopies? It feels like, what, 50? I don't know. When are you supposed to have? Well, she was definitely long overdue. And she says, I have the colon of a newborn. And I was just like, I don't know if I believe that. But Stephanie was just like, what about that liver, though? She's like, don't worry about it. She's like, don't worry about it. What about that liver? MJ says 45. Oh, Nicole also says 45 years old for African Americans to have a colonoscopy. Woo! And that's the whole prep work for a colonoscopy. That's a lot of work. Deborah says 40. I know it's somewhere in your 40s or something like that. But Marisol waited until she was 57. 57 to get her colonoscopy. Okay. What else happens at this event? So, can we talk about Adriana's dress? Adriana's dress was gorgeous at the Kuramo event. Her dress was beautiful. I didn't really love how she did her hair, but the dress, go back and look at the dress if you didn't see it. Her dress was really, really pretty. I thought it was so pretty. I didn't notice it last night when I watched the episode, but I noticed it today when I watched the episode again. All right. What else happened? So Adriana says that she knew that Julia was because they talk. She catches up with Julia, and Julia talks about Marisol's colonoscopy. And Adriana says she knew that Julia was up Alexia's ASS, but she didn't know she was up Marisol's too. That was a good read at that. Look, a good read. All right. What else was said? Let me see. So Kuramo comes over and he's like, Julia, oh my God. He's acting real. I can't recall anything with Kuramo recently, but I don't know. I felt like he was being a little too extra. I was like, is he okay? But I was like, all right. He comes over like, Julia, blah, blah, blah. And then he sees Stephanie. He's like, oh, look at that necklace. Oh, I smell money. I was like, oh, okay. We also get to meet Carmen Carrera. You remember Carmen from Drag Race. I will say this, based on what we saw from this episode when it comes to Carmen, I kind of understand because there was speculation that she was going to become a friend of the show. And she ended up just sort of being a guest. And I was like, I understand why. Based off what we saw in this episode, again, we're watching an edited show, she seemed a little intimidated by these women, right? She just seemed a little too quiet. I was just like, are you okay? But we get to learn a little bit of her history. I don't know if you guys remember. There was this petition to have Carmen be a Victoria's Secret model. And, you know, she says this is part of the reason why events like this are so important. But yeah, so we get to see her. I thought she was like, I didn't really see anything in this episode that made me go, they should have made her full time, or they should have made her a friend of. Based on what we got, I was like, Oh, Big Red says Kuramo has always given me pick me token vibes. Like, what's the name this week? I haven't had time because, you know, we've been covering like the Jackie Christie of it all. Hulk Hogan died today. Malcolm Jamal Warner died this week. Ozzy Osbourne died. I haven't had a chance to talk about Laverne Cox and that video that she posted up in regards to, like, I dated this white, blue-eyed, blonde, she said MAGA Republican. And I was like, I'm waiting for the punchline. Well, come to see me at City Winery in New York. I was like, are you okay, Laverne? So everyone has been TikTok. I'm sure you've seen it. I hadn't had the chance to really do a video or talk about it, but I saw it. Hence why I can't cover everything. But I saw it and I was just like, what's the punchline here, Laverne? I mean, people were talking about how Kuramo was being the token. So that reminded me of the Laverne Cox stuff. Aaliyah says she was so proud. Like, I dated a blonde, blue-eyed, MAGA Republican who was a police officer. Okay. If anything, if she thought that was going to bring people in to buy tickets for her show here in New York, that was not going to do it, Laverne. I wouldn't be surprised if they cancel your show now because people saying like I'm not going. I've heard this before, Winter. You're like the third person this week to say that. Winter says Laverne Cox is rude, allegedly. My sister told me she met her in person. I heard someone else say the same thing this week. I've never met Laverne Cox. I don't know anything about Laverne besides like the acting stuff. And then, of course, this video that went viral this week. I'm saying all this to say that when you guys talked about Kuramo being the token, I was like, oh, that's what it made me. Ashley says Mercury retrograde's got this week looking crazy. I know, we buckle up. It's going on until August 11th. Yeah, and then today at 3-something p.m. and soon, the Leo new moon. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Tanya says, did you see the dance video? Which dance video? With Laverne? I did not see it. If you're going to the Laverne Cox show, let me know if she explains further what she meant by that video. I'm sure she will talk about it. Okay. Guys, if you're just joining us, don't forget to like the video. It's an easy and free way of supporting not just my channel, but other channels as well. If you're watching on TikTok, be sure to keep tapping your screens. TikTok, we got almost 200 of you here, and we don't even have 10,000 likes. Likes are free. Tap your screen. Those of you that are watching on YouTube, like the video. It's easy. It's free. Come on now. Thank you so much, Alicia, for the super chat. Alicia says, I didn't like how she showed the boys on the show. It was all for show. They are too young. I don't know. I'm a little uncomfortable with that whole situation, especially with how Julia has been treating Gertie this season. If this didn't happen in the season, I'd probably still be somewhat concerned, but I'm like... And here's the thing. I'm not concerned about the boys' I'm not concerned that they're going to do anything to the boys. I'm concerned that they're not doing enough homework to understand what these boys will need as black boys in America growing up in Florida. I have concerns, especially with someone like Martina talking about surrogacy. She's like, you can't have it all. What? Girl, some people would say the same thing about you. You can't have it all. We don't want you to have it all. You can't adopt. It's the same thing. Like, I don't understand people's hypocrisy with stuff like that. You don't realize how you saying surrogacy is wrong, and you being an LGBT lesbian woman, and you adopting a child, like, you don't see. Okay, I can't help some people. I just can't. Anyway, so back to Kuramo's event. All right. So Kuramo, whatever. Lisa brings up her combo with Larsa. Larsa was not at this event, but Lisa was so proud of herself. She was talking about how everyone said that I was a narcissist, and I called her a narcissist. And then, what did she say? Marisol was like, "Oh my God, you're a wordsmith, monkey." That does not make her a wordsmith, okay? It's not a real word, but okay. And we already know Lisa's not that bright. Come on. Are we going to lie? Are we going to lie? Fine. All right. So Alexia apparently ran into Todd, and they spent the night. They hung out all night. They probably slept with each other as well. So that's continuing to be Alexia's storyline. All right. Their divorce has been final. I mean, after the season probably wrapped, but their divorce is final. So I don't know but mind you, literally when she was on Watch What Happens Live, she talked about sleeping with Todd like a few days before Watch What Happens Live. But now they're not talking. I don't know. Girl, you like it. We love it for you. All right. So then at the end of Kuramo's event, so, we get to see Kuramo's event. We get to see his speech. This is the one time everyone's getting along. Julia's getting along. Here's the thing. Please pay attention to Gertie's energy when she comes to this event in support of Julia. Julia's not even being honored, but this is Julia's event. Okay. She comes and she's all bubbly. She's excited. She even greets Julia. Okay. Then they flash 72 hours forward. All right. And this is where you see at Gertie's event, and Gertie is sharing the text messages. I got screenshots of those text messages, and we're going to read through them in a bit. All right. Shout out to everyone watching on Twitch and Twitter. We see you guys. And shout out to everyone watching on YouTube and Facebook. And of course, here on TikTok, we're talking about the Real Housewives of Miami. All right. So mind you, it's so funny how this episode was laid out, because we went from those small scenes, then we jump into Kuramo's event, and then we jump into Gertie's breast cancer event, because a lot played out at her breast cancer event. So we're seeing Gertie set up for this event. Gertie's a party planner. She knows how to set up a party like this. The party looks amazing. She looks amazing. Some of those photos that came out from the party, I'm like, wow. Okay. So Julia arrives. She's one of the first, if not the first, to arrive to the event. And pay attention to Julia's body language. Julia's body language, and again, we're watching an edited show. For all we know, a lot more has happened offline, off camera. The body language was giving like, I'm here, but I'm not your friend. It wasn't giving friendly. And then Julia ends up having a conversation with Russell. And again, Julia, this is I find so interesting when people say that they're not narcissists. I think they don't understand the true definition or the characteristics of a narcissist. If you continuously make yourself a victim when you are clearly not the victim, you are a narcissist. And Julia might be the biggest narcissist on this cast, because she has turned this situation, even the wedding situation with Gertie, where she splashed Gertie with water, she's making herself out to be the victim. Last week's episode at the Grecian event, she was making herself out to be the victim. I could understand why Gertie is annoyed. Like, girl, like, you splashed me with water. You soaked me with water. I didn't do anything to you. Even if I told you to be quiet, that doesn't constitute that you can now splash me with water. You barely didn't even want to have the conversation with her. She was willing to have the conversation with her, and you were flipping out. You were standing over her. Like, I didn't forget. You were standing over her, hand in her face. But okay. And maybe Julia, when she spoke with Russell, she thought that Russell, because he's white, he was going to give her grace. Maybe that's what she thought. Because I was like, what do you think Gertie's husband's going to do? He's going to have her back. And I have to say, he was actually more gracious than Martina was ever with Gertie. Because the way that Martina was with Gertie was sort of like standoffish and all these little microaggressions. Y'all remember for episode 1? So, or it was episode 2. It was at the Lisa's birthday party. Exactly. Quill says splash is a nice way to put it, Kim. Drenched in water. When you look at the photo, I still have the photo here, don't I? Is this it? No. Ooh, wrong photo. Do I have the photo here? I don't know if I still have. Oh, wait. Yep, right there. Drenched. When you look at her here, I mean, the makeup is sitting, though. The makeup is sitting. Okay? So she's sitting there drenched. And then when you see the video footage of the amount of water that Julia was throwing at her, it's not like she got upset and the water splashed. No, she intentionally shot the water at Gertie. Deborah says Russell's 1,000% Team Gertie. Are we shocked by that? I'm not surprised by that. And what they've gone through in the last year and a half, that's going to be her ride or die. All right. So where were we? Julia says, oh, you know, how are the boys, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, you know, I have 2 boys now too. And he was just like, oh yeah, congrats. Good luck with that. And even her reaction was just like, because you know she's already probably mad. He said, good luck with that. Yeah, it's 2 boys. It's 2 babies that you're taking on at the same time. I didn't take any weight about what he said. Good luck with that. That's 2 babies, and y'all are women of a particular age running around 2 young boys. Okay? He was like, yeah, good luck with that. See, if it was me, but Russell, you know, who knows what was said between them. I would have been like, well, again, I don't know if he even knew that the 2 boys were 2 black boys, because my advice to her was like, I hope you understand that it's going to be different raising these 2 black boys as opposed to you raising 2 white boys. It's going to be different. I'm sure he's had to learn a thing or two as a white man in America, in Florida, raising 2 black boys. Okay? All right. So anyway, so Julia talks about with Russell or what happened, blah, blah, blah. All right. Then we have Gertie arrive with Carmen and with Gertie. Kiki arrived with Carmen, and she says that, oh, this used to be my church. So this venue was actually a church before. All right. And it was a Baptist church. And she talked about going to this church and having a good time in this church. It's like, so this is actually a perfect venue for this event. All right. One of the things that I wrote down was that Carmen still seems so out of place in this space with these women. I didn't expect Carmen to seem so out of place. She's like me at an event where like I just don't want to be there or just want to be home. Just like, I'm like, you're filming a reality show. You can't just be sort of like, you got to be giving us something, or at least give us a, you know, I mean, she looked gorgeous, but give us a little something other than looking like a deer in headlights. That's the vibe that I was getting from Carmen. I was like, are you okay, girl? Because you seem so out of place here. So Julia then, in speaking, I think she was speaking with Marisol. She said that Russell heard that, she says it's to Marisol. She said that Russell heard Gertie's side of the story, and I'm sure she made me out to be the bad guy. The same way that you made Gertie to be the bad guy to Martina. Like, again, I feel like in Julia's head, because Russell's white, she automatically thinks that he's going to align with her. Because why would you think that Russell was going to think anything other than that? She's like, well, I guess because she felt like the interaction was awkward. You splashed my wife with water on camera, and you were standing over her. You were pointing your finger in her face. What did you think? I'm trying to understand what you thought. Okay. Wait, so hold on. What? I'm seeing something in the comment section. Couples therapy. Princess Leia says Princess Leia says Carmen was beyond stiff. Oh, Savannah says she was traumatized from couples therapy. Oh, was she in couples therapy? Mary Jane's baby says Carmen didn't know how the girls would take her is the reason why she was being so standoffish. You think? I don't know. I just felt like it was awkward. Okay. But okay. So anyway, let's move on from there. So Juliet speaks to Marisol about it. And Marisol's like, you guys seem to be in a good place. she seems to be in a good place with you. It's good that you guys can kind of move forward. That's what they thought. All right. So Julia then tells Marisol that she went out with Alexia and Todd, and Todd told her that he's trying to win Alexia back. I really don't understand what's happening between Todd and Alexia and why he would go so far as to file for divorce. You know, people have speculated that, no, he only filed for divorce because of some money issues. We don't know if that's true, but that's what people speculate in regards to what might be happening between the two of them. All right. What else happens? Oh, so then Stephanie sits down because Alexia comes over while Julia and Marisol are having the conversation. And she's like, oh, I had a feeling you guys were talking about me. Stephanie sits down. And Stephanie, here's the thing. We're filming a reality show, and I get why Stephanie is chiming in with her opinion about Todd and Alexia's relationship. But in real life, I'd be like, girl, mind your business. This is you're new to this group. But she's on a reality show, so I don't mind her chiming in. And she's saying what a lot of us are thinking. And she keeps bringing up. She's like, that narcissist party it was a Todd party. It had something to. It had more to do with Todd. And Alexia's like, no, it didn't. No, it didn't. And she was like, you're a narcissist too. And Alexia's like, I can't be a narcissist. I'm too much of an empath. I had to rewind that part. I was like, is she serious right now? Alexia said, I can't be a narcissist. Mind you, I believe in one of the past reunions, she says that we're all narcissists. Now, in this season, she's like, I can't be a narcissist. I'm too much of an empath. What, Alexia? And she said, I'm too much of an empath. Okay, meaning that she feels what people are going through. So you didn't feel anything when Gertie got splashed with that water and was sitting there wet? You're so much of an empath. You didn't feel anything then? Okay. Just asking. All right. So Stephanie and Alexia kind of get into this little heated exchange, okay, about it. All right. And it comes up again multiple times during this party. Okay. So Gertie makes her speech, which was a beautiful speech. She wanted to pay homage to Russell and her boys. She's like, she sits in awe of them and the amount of support. Gertie has good sons. I mean, they're very quiet, but you could tell they love their mom. They went through, you remember watching what we watched last season. It was very hard to watch because you could tell the boys were going through a lot during that time. Okay. VK says can they leave the DSM-5 alone? Oh Lord. Incognito says that she felt a splash of water. That's all she felt. Okay. Jen says that Alexia does not like Gertie. I think the majority of this cast doesn't like Gertie, if I'm being honest. And I'm not saying that they have to, but the microaggressions that they're making, I'm like, it's beyond not just disliking someone. When you start treating someone differently, as opposed to their white counterparts, that's where you need to start checking yourself. And I already know people from Florida have already said it. The Cubans in Florida, there's a lot of that down there. So we're not completely surprised, but doesn't mean that it's okay. Let me see. All right. So Gertie makes her speech, and she said she's grateful for cancer because it showed her another way to live. Then she thanks her husband and her boys for their support during this. I thought beautiful speech. And that's what this event mainly was about, was celebrating herself and her friends that also have beat cancer. She also gave an update because this is like a year later and she went in for her updated scans and things like that. And she's like, I am still that B, meaning that she's cancer free. Fantastic. All right. Gertie then makes an announcement, and then she shares the text messages. But they flash back. Because I think just watching it, we were like, why is she deciding to show these text messages? But they flash back to a conversation that Gertie has with Russell. And Russell says, well, she said that you guys have decided to move on. And Gertie's like, is she serious? We were just at the Grecian event and she broke the pact that we had that we weren't going to discuss our issues amongst the group. And you're asking this guy about and making yourself out to be the victim. It's not just her asking a question of this guy. You're also in this question making yourself out to be the victim. oh, she said some very hurtful things to me, and I got to see how I can get over them. And like, how do you suggest I get over them? Girl, making herself out to be the victim in front of the group again. Okay? So, they flash back to the conversation with Gertie and Russell, and they also show us that Gertie decides at the last minute. So she wasn't planning to do this at the event. She decides at the last minute to share this text message because she wants to clear the air. She wants to make it known that this is what really happened between her and Julia. Because I'm telling you, I almost completely forgot what happened last week at the Grecian party. But I'm glad the editors had Gertie's back because they really flashed back to give context that she did not initially want to even include any of these issues at the Grecian at her event. She decided at the last minute to include it. All right. So she says she wants to set the record straight. So she shows the text messages. We couldn't see the text messages, but I got the text messages. Okay. And I'm going to read them to you. Okay. And look, Gertie has been dropping the text messages on social media from even when the whole Zoom announcement, remember they had that Zoom call with all the ladies to talk about the boys, or adopting the boys. And then Gertie had to drop out. She tried to get back in, but Julia would not let her back in. So Gertie at the time shared those text messages. Well, now I got the other text messages, okay? And and under it says the truth about the cruise. All right? So in the text message, Gertie says, "Hi babe, you're good?" ? This is back in December of last year. She says, "They don't have my name on the dinner reservation where they swung me, so trying to figure things out." I don't know what she meant. It's a grammatical error. Then she says, "Not sure why they separated us since I came only because of you." So this is Gertie saying this to Julia. Okay? Hold on, y'all. Let me just hit this on TikTok. TikTok, keep tapping your screens. TikTok, I'm going to end the live here because you know why? We have almost 200 of you guys here and we don't even have 10,000 likes. So I'm going to end the live because there's no reason for me to be here on TikTok if you guys are just going to be sitting here watching. Go over to our YouTube channel, all right, if you want to watch, all right? So anyways, back to this. I'll be ending it in a couple of minutes. All right? All right. So Gertie says, "I'm not sure why they separated us since I came only because of you." And then she puts the emoji like this with the hands over the eyes and then one eye open. Okay. All right. So then she says, "I'll figure it out." This is what Gertie says. Then she receives a response from Julia. All right. Julia says, "Just getting back to the room." Also, she didn't even reply until after the dinner. She said, "Just getting back to the room. It's blah, blah, blah's party." And because they X out who the person is. All right. Okay. And there we go. Sorry. Bye, TikTok. Because the thing is, I do TikTok, y'all, here on YouTube. I do TikTok as a bonus. I don't have to do it. My thing is, all you got to do on TikTok is tap the screen and show support or share the live. If y'all can't do that, why am I there? There we go. I'll focus here. You guys make sure you like the video. I'll end the live here too. Don't play with me. When we ask you guys to like a video, it's to help push out our content. All right? That is an easy, free way of supporting the channel. But look at here. We have almost 1,000 of you here, and we don't even have 1,000 likes. I'll wait. Look, I'll wait. It's an easy, free way of supporting us. If you're not going to like the video, what are you doing here? Hate watching? Okay. Day says, "Let's pour one out for TikTok." Bye. All right. So anyway, back to this. Exactly. Deborah says the F around and find out era has begun. Exactly. All right. Let me see. So Julia responds to her text messenger because this is what happened during the cruise. All right. So she says, "Just getting back to the room." This is Julia responding. "Just getting back to the room. It's blank." She crosses out the person's party and says, "I had no control over the list. I guess changes were made when blah canceled." They X out that name too. She says, "I'm sorry. Are you well taken care of?" How would you guys feel? How would you feel if, according to Gertie, Julia begged her, she had just come off a cruise with her family, begged her to join her because Martina could not be there. Begged her. And now there's a dinner reservation and your friend is not responding to you. I would feel away. We've talked about this before. I'm just reminding you. So Gertie responds and says, to be honest, I'm a little taken aback that I was moved to the side for this exclusive party. If I'm supposed to come in as, I'm guessing they're saying Martina's replacement, because I don't know why they're Xing it out. Replacement, I should have been extended the invitation as a courtesy, especially when I'm leaving my kids and husband at home to be next to you as your guest. I'm sure you had no control over it, and I'm also sure that they blank it out again, wanted to make it an exclusive experience just for you since I am not his client. But nevertheless, this is a little rude considering that I was trying to be as supportive as a friend to you. I was not, hold on, let me get to the rest of this. I was not considering that I was trying to be supportive as a friend to you. I was not even on the reservation for this restaurant that you guys put me at. So she's talking about, okay, the other reservation, she wasn't even on the reservation for that. So she says, they're squeezing me in and I'll be okay, but know that I would never let anyone do that to my friends who show up for me. All right? So Julia responds and says, I don't coordinate dinner arrangements. All I'm thinking about this weekend is blah, 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 blah's condition. I guess Martina's condition. If that's all you're thinking about, why are you even at this event? Was it a contractual obligation? I'm sure Martina's cancer would be reason enough to break any sort of contractual condition. So she says, I don't coordinate dinner arrangements. All I'm thinking about this weekend is blank's condition. I thought you wanted to be here and would have enjoyed being here. Otherwise, I would have never suggested to join me and leave your kids in Russell. I'm sorry you're upset, but this is a work weekend and this wasn't done on purpose or to offend you. I'm already annoyed by Julia's response. I don't know about you guys. I'm already annoyed. Because it's like, girl, you asked me to be here. I had just gotten off the cruise with Russell and my kids, and you asked me to be here with you. It's giving Karen behavior. So Gertie responds and says, I know that, and that's why I said yesterday when I saw you and blank, again, I don't know who they were talking about, coordinating networking ops, that you would be okay without me there. Anyway, I'm a big girl, all good here. I'm just saying that the way I was pushed hard to make sure, for example, Adriana wasn't left alone and got her into Balud, cruise people done that for me. I know it's not you and others in your circle. And again, it's a business thing, so understand. Anyway, I had dinner alone since Jen ended up having to, hold on. I had never had dinner alone since Jen ending up having to leave for a last minute emergency. Jen Fessler. Jen Fessler was on Watch What Happens Live with Gertie last night. So she's referring to Jen Fessler from Real Housewives of New Jersey. Okay. Chicken Sal says that the blanked out name is Captain Sandy. So I don't understand why they just include Captain Sandy's name here. Who cares? But whatever. She says, I'm okay and not upset, but wanted to express my personal view on the matter. And to be honest, you have to keep in mind, Gertie really was not upset. Gertie was still willing to be a part of the Zoom call with the kids and stuff like that. So it wasn't Gertie that made it a big issue this season. It was Julia that made it an issue and made it her storyline. So that's important to keep in mind. Despite this all playing out on the cruise, Gertie was like, whatever. It was Julia that's like, oh, I didn't like the way that Gertie was on the cruise and blah, 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 blah. So she continues. She says, Jen ended up having to leave for a last minute emergency. I'm okay and not upset, but wanted to express my personal view on the matter. It's not your fault, babe. I know. But if they had two as RCP, why make it a point to do the work to ensure it was now just one and swing me out of the equation? Anyway, see you around. I have to agree with her. She's like, if you originally had a reservation for two, why all of a sudden now there's only one? You know what I mean? It seems intentional. And based on what we've seen of Julia this season, it wouldn't shock me that Julia knew or Julia requested it. I'm just saying, based on how Julia's moving, I wouldn't trust her ever. So Julia responds says, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry you had dinner alone. I'm kind of in a twilight zone this weekend here and was not paying attention much on what was going on around. Where are you now?" Really? She says, "Jen is back, so I'm good. No worries." She's like, "Where are you, Martin Barr?" She writes. And then she says, "Not sure if you were sleeping already. Wait, hold on. What time did she send this text?" Okay, she said, not sure if you're sleeping already. Did want to wake you up. I guess she said didn't want to wake you up. So, all right. And that was the end of the text there. All right. So that is what was shared on the not Jumbotron, but on the screens at Gertie's parties. I wanted to read that to you. I am going to be Team Gertie on this one because you are shady, Julia, based off of you trying to drag this out as your storyline. And then also the fact you begged Gertie, I believe Gertie, you begged her to come on this trip because Martina could not. All right. Again, if you, contractual obligation, you could have easily gotten out of this. Clearly, you wanted to go and do this instead of being by Martina's side. The same way with the facelift. But okay. Just saying. I'll take a sip. The behavior is weird to me. It's weird. It's giving pick me. It's whatever. All right. So she shares those text messages at the party. Everyone has such a visceral reaction. Marisol says, that was very dirty. I got my New Jersey because you remember Danielle said that. That's dirty. So she's like, that's dirty. Oh my God, I can't believe this. Oh my God. I can't believe the reaction. These women, Larsa's like, oh my God, you don't do that. I would never send a text message to Gertie again. Alexia's like, I usually call, blah, 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 but I'm never going to text Gertie again. Blah, blah. They have this big reaction to this text message. It's not like the text message said anything incredibly personal about Julia or Martina. It was basically setting the record straight. So now you guys have heard the text message, her setting the record straight. So it wasn't anything incredibly personal. All right. So it's not that big of a deal. Larsa's reaction, Alexia's reaction, Maris are like, that's dirty. Oh my God. And then they're all reacting to it and talking about it. And then they're like, I gotta leave. I can't. I gotta leave. And I agree. Should this have been shared at this special, beautiful event? Maybe not. I mean, I still don't think it's as bad as what Kenya did at her event because she showed explicit photos. We're just talking about a text exchange. The text exchange wasn't that damning, okay? If anything, it just cleared up Gertie's point. Like, this is what happened. I laid it out all for you there, okay? And Gertie's like, in this stage in her life, in this chapter in her life, she's not doing this. She's going to lay it all out there. She's not holding back. All right. Larsa said that the text, she started to read the text, but she was like, that was pretty low to share that. All right. Marisol says that she's very uncomfortable and she wants to leave. Bye. Toya says everyone is ignoring the fact that Julia lied. Conveniently, they didn't have this reaction when Julia was splashing Gertie with water at this private event at a restaurant, at Alexia's friend's restaurant. She had no problem with Julia doing that. That wasn't disgusting behavior. That wasn't disgusting behavior. Just saying. So Gertie's just like, yeah, and so she sits down with Adriana and Lisa because clearly they formed their own sort of like friendship and an alliance together. But Adriana's like, I understand where you're coming from. I understand where you're coming from in regards to this. Clearly, Adriana and Julia are not in a good place. But she does eventually, because the ladies end up leaving the event. The good majority of the ladies end up leaving the event. All right. Stephanie goes out and she's like, guys, I'm going to stay. I don't agree with what happened, but I'm going to stay and I'm going to, I want to hear Gertie's side. Alexia gets activated. She's like, you want to hear her, you want to hear Gertie's side? You want to kiss her ASS? And Stephanie is triggered by that. I'm like, what do you mean kiss her ass? Why don't you shut the F up? Ooh. Why don't you shut the F up? Oh, I was here for that. But I can appreciate Stephanie's just like, I don't know what's happened between Gertie and Julia. I don't think Gertie should have did this at her event. But again, she's like, why am I going to leave the event? Why is she going to? I would be interested to see what Stephanie's reaction would have been if she had been at the Marisol party where Gertie was splashed. I wonder. But anyway, so everyone's reacting to what Gertie just shared. Again, I just read to you what Gertie shared. What I shared with you guys, is that dirty for them to be like, oh my God? Because that's the thing too. Based off the episode, they showed a little bit of what was said, but you got to read the full text. Okay. Was that enough for people to be like, oh my gosh, she shared so much personal information. Oh my gosh, not sharing the text messages. Oh no. Oh no, it's just too much. Neo the Virgo, shout out to everyone watching on Twitch. Neo the Virgo says that's what makes it hard to watch. It's because their reaction is so different in comparison to an actual traumatic assault. It's like, you guys didn't call that disgusting. You guys actually made excuses. And then in the footage we saw in episodes after that, you guys were attacking Gertie at this event. I already know there's going to be a lot of apologies and a lot of overcorrection at the reunion. Watch. All right. Before we continue, I am going to drop the call-in link for our members first on our YouTube post tab. Okay, y'all. Hold on. And if you haven't already, be sure to like the video. I will drop the call-in link for the general audience once we get to, let's get to 550 likes. We're almost at 500. Apparently shaming you guys got y'all to like the video. Apparently shame works around these parts. I'm going to shame y'all some more. Oh, and apparently, because I did a video yesterday talking about Jackie Christie and her daughter and what's been playing out on Basketball Wives. So I was talking about how people shouldn't be in people's comment section bullying and threatening them. So some of y'all, and y'all have said this before, some of y'all felt like I was lecturing y'all. Well, if you feel that way, that says more about you than it does about me. Me telling you not to bully, threaten people, that's not your constitutional right. You do realize that, right? Bullying someone or threatening someone on social media can get you locked up. But if you feel like that's a lecture, there you go. That should tell you a little bit more about yourself than me telling you not to bully or threaten someone. You see the rules when you come into our chat. PSM says, shame. Sidebar, they brought that up during Real Housewives of Miami. Lisa was just like, she was like, shame. She was like, what is that show? What was that show? Game of Thrones. It's like, what was that? Shame. Ariana. Ariana said, thank you for being a member, Ariana. Ariana says, I'm here, but I'm late. 7 out of 10, but I'm so mad for Gertie. That's what's making the season hard to watch. Is this, it's the clear microaggressions that we're watching that's making it hard to watch. Especially when you see this week's episode. When you see this week's episode, it's sort of like, you guys even have this reaction. You're calling it disgusting. You're calling it all these things that you didn't use when we actually watched disgusting behavior. I hope someone schools them. And here's the thing, too. And this is why when Andy Cohen hosts the reunion, why I feel like Andy shouldn't be hosting the reunion, this particular reunion, because he's not going to be able to lead a conversation on these microaggressions and macroaggressions that we're seeing from these white women on this cast. He's not going to be able to lead a conversation talking about raising black boys. It will be interesting to see him ask Julia about Martina's tweet about surrogacy. Is she going to blame that she was hacked? Probably. Just Jules, thank you so much for the super chat. Just Jules says, replay now, but Gertie was extra inserting herself in Elle and Elle's fight. And then the text messages were inappropriate to all those survivors. Not cool, in my opinion. Again, if you watch the episode, you could see why she decided to include it. And then if you heard what we just mentioned in regards to the actual text, the texts weren't damning. It wasn't damning. So it wasn't like she shared explicit photos like Kenya did at her event. No. She's like, in my new chapter, I'm going to share everything that's on my mind. But here's the thing. Julia keeps trying to make herself the victim. Even in the confessional, she's trying to make herself to be the victim. And let's be honest, this is Housewives. This is what they always do to have this event. They do all these histrionics. This is why they're hired, because they're narcissists. Ray, thank you so much for the super chat. Ray says, off topic, I binged your prior lives, and Charles Oakley is a Sagittarius, not an Aquarius. They're evil twins, but not the same. Love your life. Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much, Ray. Look, Ray, I blame the people in the chat. They told me his sign. I think we did, at one particular point, say that he was Sagittarius. I think in the recent lives, we said he was an Aquarius. But yeah. Ray, thank you so much for another super chat. He says, I lived for the Gertie playing dirty energy. They were looking for something to be mad at her anyways. Might as well be the bad guy. And again, when you read the text messages weren't that bad. Love, calm, peace. Thank you so much for the super chat. Like the video before he shuts us down, too. Y'all think I'm playing? Yeah, next week's video might be pre-recorded. Why am I up here? Or I may not even recap it. All right, but no, y'all show up and show out for our Real Housewives of Miami recaps. I have to say, Miami, y'all really been showing up. All right, Kendra, thank you so much for the super chat. Kendra says, I don't know why people are shocked by Julia. Anyone that looks like Sid from Ice Age should not be trusted. I'm glad that the editors show Gertie didn't plan this from the beginning. Protect black women. I'm glad that they did too. I was surprised because they didn't have to. And then people could have ran with the narrative like, why did she do this at her event? But I'm glad they gave us the context. Shout out to production. Like last week when they showed us the context of Lisa in the bathroom screaming and yelling, and there's a woman in the bathroom stall. Who thought of that? Who thought to put the camera down there? I'm sure they got permission from the lady, right? I mean, they didn't show her face, but I thought that was hilarious. But anyway, I digress. Catania says that I really like Stephanie for staying, which I appreciate. Stephanie's like, I'm not picking sides. And that's what I can appreciate. I didn't like what she said on Watch What Happens Live. And I saw that Gertie addressed that on Watch What Happens Live. And she's like, I'm going to give her grace because she doesn't know everything that was happening. I was like, all right. She wants to give her grace because she has said that she thinks that Gertie needs to let it go. So we shall see how the rest of the season plays out. Guys, if you had to rate this week's episode of The Real Housewives of Miami from 1 to 10, how would you rate it? Don't forget, you can also hear our recaps and special episodes on the Kempire podcast. Subscribe today, Kempire on all podcast platforms. While you're there, don't forget to give us a 5-star rating. Also, don't forget that I will be coming to Atlanta. Just Jules says, Kempire's hangry. You're probably right. No, I'm in a new chapter of my life too, like Gertie. Okay? F y'all. All right. The Villain Era is coming to Atlanta on August 5th if you haven't gotten your tickets already. Oh, and let me shame y'all. Atlanta, why aren't we sold out already? We're 2 weeks away. Why aren't we sold out already, Atlanta? If we don't sell out, I'm not coming back. The lie. Candy. Atlanta, go get your tickets today. We'll be at the City Winery on August 5th. Meet and greets are available for that show. DC, we're not sold out yet. Shame. Shame. Don't forget, we'll be coming to DC on August 22nd. That's a Friday night? Yeah, so make sure you guys get your tickets for that. And then, of course, New York City will be back on September 12th. That show has a live stream option. So even if you're not in New York City or can't make that show, you'll have that live stream option. Go get your tickets, though, because the day, I think the day of you can get it, but go get your tickets now. That way to make sure that you have your ticket for that. All right, more information on the Kempire After Dark, The Villain Era live tour will be available in the description, so make sure you go get your tickets for that. Shout out to everyone that's backstage already that wants to weigh in. Shout out to everyone watching on Twitch and Twitter. I see you guys, and everyone watching here on Facebook and on YouTube. We're talking about the Real Housewives of Miami. We're going to get to the callers in just a second. Let me see. Patrick Mama says, is your hometown sold out yet? No, but you know how New Yorkers can be. Foxy says, shame. Remember Bernice at the last live show, she's like, Kempire, you see, everybody showed up for you. I was like, you're right. So she said, will you do another show? We'll see how this next show goes, Bernice. We'll see how this next show goes. But New York can be that way. But New York, I love our partnership with the Green Room 42. I love the space. I love it's like a nice cozy space. They have the live stream option so anyone can watch. Again, go get your tickets for that. And again, what I say in New York won't be what I say in Atlanta in a couple of weeks. All right. See, Pageant Mommy says, well, I bought my tickets when it was announced. So that's because you are a loyal supporter, Pageant Mommy. I will see you again at the next show. We're going to have a good old time. All right. Let's move on. What else did I want to say? So they end this episode with everyone's outside. Everyone's reacting. Some people are inside. Kiki and Carmen end up going back inside as well. But Adriana goes outside to have a conversation with Julia. And she's like, show your text. She's like, I'm not going to have a pissing match with Gertie because your texts say the same thing and it doesn't prove anything. It's just going to make you look bad. So she's like, show your text. And then you guys hear Alexia and Marisol talking Spanish. And it's clear what's happening here. So when Stephanie went outside, Stephanie and Alexia end up getting into it about Stephanie saying that she's going to stay because clearly Alexia wanted Stephanie to choose their side. This is what the show is turning into, which is dangerous. And someone on my comment section when I did a quick recap last night said it's turning into the Fox 4 flunkies. So, they said Fox Force 5, which happened on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, which ended up ruining that show. And that's what it's starting to feel like, especially with Alexia and Marisol at the spearhead of all of this. So I just feel as if this is starting to get into a weird place. None of you guys are that special to this show. It's the magic between all of you that make this show as good as it is, except Julia. So don't sit here and think that you, Alexia, are the star of the show, or Marisol, or you are the star of the show. I did love their reaction when Larsa pointed out that this is a church. They were like, this is a church? They were like, wait a minute. But none of you are the single star that's making this show it. None of you guys are Nenes. Not one of you are Nenes at all. Let me humble y'all. None of you are the star. It's the collective that makes Real Housewives of Miami what it is. But if y'all start turning this into the Mean Girls situation, the Fox Force flunkies. Wait, hold on. Critical Thinker says the flat foot flossy. Oh my goodness, not the flat foot floozies. If y'all turn that into this, people are going to get turned off. People are already telling me when I was reporting on what happened to Gertie a couple of episodes ago, they were like, I can't watch the rest of the season. People are already turned off. So stop with this weirdo behavior. So Adriana goes out to have a conversation with Julie. She's like, show your text messages. And then you see Alexia and Marisol have their own little Fox Force flunkies conversation because they want this to be over with. They want everyone to leave. Why are we leaving this party over text messages they clearly did not read? All right. And y'all didn't want to leave the party when Gertie was splashed on. And y'all didn't even check on Gertie when that happened. Y'all just sat there. Y'all need to check yourselves. Y'all really need to check yourselves. Y'all all better apologize to Gertie for not reacting in a better way and a supportive way at this reunion. If you haven't already. Because you guys are gross. To see the huge difference between those scenes from what we saw at Marisol's wedding event versus what we saw last night is such a stark difference, but it just confirmed what we originally felt from the first scene with Julia splashing Gertie. Dr. Nicole does make an appearance next week, if you saw the preview for the next episode, and she also is very confused. She's just like, what's happening with Julia? We used to be such good friends. Yep. So a lot of people are missing Dr. Nicole. I am missing Dr. Nicole because she's probably the only person on this cast that doesn't annoy me. she decided to take a break from the show. I'm not surprised. She also has a podcast with Dr. Tiffany Moon, and she revealed that she didn't say Marisol's name, but basically it was Marisol, allegedly, that hired a private investigator to follow her. And she was just like, it made her very paranoid to be on this show. And based on what we're seeing with these women, I wouldn't be surprised why she's like, I need a break from this. She just had a baby. Postpartum is real. So I saw the cutest picture of her and her little family. Oh, her kids are adorable. I'd like to have her back, but I also don't blame her. She has a real career, a real family, a real life. I don't blame people for not wanting to be on reality television. I don't. So I would like her back, but I also understand where she's like, yeah, it's not worth my happiness. It's not worth my family. And when you have children, not that I know, but I can only imagine, you're a little bit more, you're a different person. You're more protective. You have things to be protective over. So I can understand where she's just like, yeah. I wouldn't be mad at her. Like, I wouldn't mind her to kind of come back and bring a balance to the group, but I don't blame her, Exactly. Critical Thinker says the lack of sympathy for Gertie is yet another reason Andy is not equipped for the role of reunion host. He's not equipped based off of Watch What Happens Live and how the conversations have been handled over the last few weeks. It will be interesting to see. But again, they keep putting Andy in these positions of the reunion host. Bravo. Did you guys, is the rest of the company functioning off of artificial intelligence? I'm trying to understand why you have Andy hosting every single reunion. I'm not saying he's bad at it. I just don't understand why. Did DEI end over at NBC Universal and they just didn't make an announcement? I'm trying to understand. Why is he the only one that hosts these reunions? I saw he was hosting the Valley reunion. I'm just like, and I get it. He's host the Vanderpump reunion. But there is not one other person at NBC Universal Bravo that could host one of these reunions. And probably far cheaper. I don't understand. And now he's also hosting the Love Island. That's not even his demographic. Half the kids are going to be like, who that? I don't understand. I don't understand it. It's not even a show he produces, but okay. But all right. All right. Guys, we're almost at 600 likes. I'll drop the call-in link when we get to 600 likes for the general audience. But we have quite a few members that are backstage that want to weigh in and share their thoughts. Keep in mind, the opinions of the callers do not represent the opinions of myself, TheKempire LLC, or our sponsors. Everything that they say is alleged, and they agree to abide by our timer and to abide by our rules of not threatening, bullying me. All right. I'm going to give you guys, the members, you'll get a minute, but general callers, you will only get 30 seconds. Just because, look, it's almost 4 o'clock here in New York City. I got things to do. Love Calm Peace is backstage. We're going to bring Love Calm Peace up next. Love Calm Peace, what did you want to share?
Oh, not on first. Yay. I think AI would do a better job of hosting the reunions than Andy because he is so, it's just I think it's the cultural difference. I will say that, but at some point, like you say, I know they look at these reviews and stuff like that. Marisol, I'm so sick of her, and I'm uncomfortable for her liver because it's just their reaction. If they say that Bravo uses like their audio and things like that, they would have did the cast a favor if they took that reaction and put it into when Gertie was actually assaulted, because that's what that was. It's disgusting for them to have the reaction that they had to text messages. Like it's just, when I watched it, because I said I wasn't watching it anymore, but I did want to see the text, but it was disgusting, and I'm extremely disappointed in Bravo, really, because y'all keep showing this, and it's a pattern. Yeah. But thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Love Peace. Take care. All right, Nelson the Virgo, who's watching on Twitch, is backstage. Nelson, thoughts?
Oh my God, hey Kempire, how are you?
I'm well, how are you?
Okay, first I had like three things I had. So first I
Okay.
wanted to say, who is Neo? Because you said Neo is in Twitch. I'm like, who is Neo?
Oh, sorry.
So I know you said you didn't want to get read, but I was like, no, I have to read Kemp for that one. So I'm sorry.
I don't know who Neo is.
The second thing is I am a New Yorker that gets his ticket late, so I will be getting my ticket late. So don't be dragging people out here in New York, all right? We got things going on, okay?
Oh.
And the third thing I wanted to say was, just a general thought. I low key want these women to stand on business. Like if they feel what they feel, like I want them to actually stand on it. And the apology, like give us the apology because we need the apology. But if y'all felt the way about Gertie, I actually want them to be like, you know what? I felt the way about Gertie. Like I need to see some honesty or something. Like there needs to be some kind of shift in reality TV because a lot of it is just it keeps looking like the same. And if the formula is you got to put one person, like you got to come for one person each season, it's getting boring. So you know what? They need to do better with that. Other thing I wanted to say real quickly was that I feel like we cringed at that stuff with Gertie because it's uncomfortable, but it low key is a glamorized version of like what people that look like Gertie go through every day. So I kind of feel like we need to see them say what they said, and we need to
especially in Florida.
Yeah, I just feel like they need to stand on what they're saying, and just like we need to just see people, at least in these states, do better because maybe it might help, like, I don't know, other people do better, but because, people look at these shows and think this is America, and it's not. Like, this is just one piece of, but I'm just saying that I feel like people like Gertie go through this stuff all the time, so that's why I feel like, yeah, stand on the business, but apologize and do better. So, boom, there we go.
All right,
bye.
Thanks, Nelson. Bye. Neo. All right, Miss Bernice is backstage. We're going to bring Miss Bernice up next. Miss Bernice, what did you want to share?
Hey, what up, though, everybody? How y'all doing?
Good.
I appreciate Gertie for doing that because, like she said, cancer affects you emotionally and physically. If I'm dealing with stressful situation, I mean, my body is going to be in stress, and I don't want this cancer to come back. So I'm releasing everything.
Yeah.
And she had to release that. Yeah. And for them to be offended, how is the one who told everybody that I had cancer, told her friends, and then told my friends that I had cancer when I told you not to tell anyone, and you offended? How is you women are offended that I told the truth, but this woman assaulted me, but y'all didn't say anything to her? So how are you offended? Looking like two damn fishes need to go back in the ocean. Woosah. Okay. Yeah, Alexa and Marisol, yeah, okay. How are you offended when I was wronged? And then she trying to play victim. You started off with the season with me. I was kicked out of the Zoom, and then I texted you, congratulations. You had a problem with that. And then you went behind my back to everybody on this cast talking about me, but smiling in my face. So how are you offended?
Okay. All right.
Well, that's my 2 cents. Okay. Woosah. I got to digress. Okay. Love you. Bye-bye.
Take care. All right. We're going to bring up Nicole next. Nicole, what did you want to share about the Real Housewives of Miami?
Hey, Kempire. How are you doing?
Well, how are you?
I'm fine. You guys are basically saying everything for me about this Gertie situation, which is great. I'm glad we all agree in agreements to it. But I really want to say I really like Stephanie. She's a little pit bull to me. Like, she doesn't take any stuff. So I think, even if they don't bring her on as a housewife, like, at least keep her as a friend of the show, because I think she's the one. I like how she checked Alexia, because that's the thing where Alexia, they feel like, like you said with Beverly Hills, they're doing the same thing. And it's like, why? And I feel like that is the underlying issue as well, why they have so much bad energy towards Gertie, because you remember her putting her wedding together and then it fell through with the event and all that kind of stuff. And so I think she's the underlying force to it. And then also Julia, she can kick rocks, because I never liked how she treated Adriana. Adriana, because when she saw what Adriana was going through with Alexia and Marcel, why are you, if this is your best friend, why are you aligning yourself with the people that are hurting my friend the most. That doesn't make sense to me. So right there, last season, that she really told us like she's nobody's friend. She's all about just trying to be a pick me, and that's it. So just have a blessed day.
You too, Nicole. Thanks for calling in.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Ooh, bye. All right, we have O'Shea backstage. We're going to bring up O'Shea next. O'Shea, what did you want to share?
Hey, Kempire.
Hey.
Actually, what Gertie did is like only like a 2 out of 10. It was barely, literally, it was barely anything.
Yeah.
But I hate on other housewife shows when the cast decide that they don't like somebody and then they're going to bandwagon and, and pile on top of that person until they leave.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see that happening over here.
Yeah.
Because I can guarantee you if public opinion wasn't with Gertie, the producers wouldn't have inserted that in the episode today where they showed that it wasn't a premeditated thing. They would have just flung her underneath the bus because they let the whole, now half of the season go with filming with all of them just being after her. And no one stepped in and intervened and said, let's do something else. But this happens a lot with these shows, unfortunately. But just that, and because I know Carmen, because she was like on Drag Race 12, 13 years ago, her personality is like that. She just is like that. But after she gets comfortable, she does wake up. But like
not wake up.
But initially, like for the first, I think the next 2 or 3 episodes, she probably will be quiet. But when she wakes up, she does wake up.
Oh,
because she's like guest judges and some of the Drag Race and ballroom stuff and stuff as well.
Okay, all right. Well, that's good to know. Thanks O'Shea.
Thanks.
Bye. All right, April's backstage. We're gonna bring April up next. April, what did you want to share?
Hi, good afternoon, Kempire. You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I wanted to say, me and you clocked that situation with Kuramo, the sellout, because that whole episode was giving me, ooh, I have Black friends. Look at me. I love Black people. Trigger warning, I'm not racist. I can never be. I was like, girl, okay, sure, next. And I don't know if I was the only one that peeped this, but when Stephanie and Alexia were going at it and Alexia brought up like her husband, notice how she went to go make nice. She was like, oh, I'll never do that again. I was like, okay, I see you. Like, yeah, you'll speak your mind. But it was given, let me make nice with the quote unquote Barbie. So that way she doesn't read her tea. And I'm glad that they're showing this part of Miami because I am from Florida, born and raised. And so that is this part of Florida where the dynamic between Black people and of the, Hispanic population, it can be like that sometimes. So where they will look down on you because you're not, of closer hue. Have a good day, Kempire.
Did you notice, April, that one of the things I forgot to mention in our recap that Alexia said to Stephanie, if your marriage was so good, you wouldn't be on this show.
Yes, I caught that. And then I was like, okay,
what you mean?
Exactly. And I caught that about us. Well, first of all, no shade, no tea, but your husband was in the closet. Like, what are you talking about?
Your first one was in jail.
Exactly. And there's a documentary about it. You have no room to talk. Oh, and one more thing. Those kids did not need to be showed like that. I was like, what are you doing? But have a great day. I'm going to go back to work. Bye-bye.
Bye. Back to work. Okay, Janelle's backstage speaking Florida. Janelle, what's going on?
Bonjour, Kempire. How are you?
Oh, well, how are you?
I'm good. I'm trying to enjoy this New York City weather because tomorrow's supposed to be the hottest day of the season. So I'm like, let me get some good before I go. Oh no.
No, wait, we get some good. What you mean?
Oh, listen, I'm too tired for all that right now. I can't.
Go ahead.
Ask me in 2 months when I get my energy back. Anyways, maybe I'll meet somebody at your show. I don't know. Anyways, I just have to say this. This is something that I've been clocking, and I'm like, it's been resting on my soul. There's something about these predominantly white or white casting franchises of Real Housewives is when someone of that is a discernible difference in race and ethnicity, and maybe in terms of maybe race or shade, whatever. So in this case, like we have a Gertie who was clearly a Black woman. And then we have other Hispanic women on the show, but as I forgot who just spoke, I forgot her name, but like there's colorism and there is a certain like white passing nature to it. And we saw it on Beverly Hills. We even saw it on the last season of Real Housewives of New York City before it got rebooted with Ebony. And I've noticed that whenever someone comes on the show who has a very, and also we also saw it on Real Housewives of Dallas with Dr. Tiffany Moon. So when we have when we have a woman of color who has a huge personality, whether you like it or not, and I'm including the audience in that too, we found a way to go against them, and I just do not get it. Like it's just like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And I can't. Also, side note, remember that story I told you last time I called about the show and like people being canceled? Well, what I said got back to the people, and people aren't talking to me. And my friend was like, "You shouldn't have done it." And I was like, "Okay, you're right." But then I found out that even before I went on your channel and talked about it, that they were talking insane things about me. And I was like, you know what? Now I don't feel bad. Goodbye, Kempire.
Damn. Okay. Thanks, Janelle. Woo. Now that's starting trouble. All right. Keith is our last member that's calling in. So Keith will have a minute, but everyone else from the general audience, which we appreciate, you will have 30 seconds. So keep that in mind. Okay. But let's bring up Keith. Keith, what's going on?
Hey, Kempire.
Hey.
So actually the previous caller basically said what actually I was going to bring up as well, was really about the difference in how a lot of these reality shows, well, Real Housewives in particular, like there's a major difference when it is predominantly one demographic versus there may be a majority of one race, and then there's that one person that isn't relative to them. So like, for example, in New York, we had Ebony. Florida, well, Miami, we have, well, honestly, what I also wanted to say was I think Kiki, if Gertie was to leave the show, Kiki may be the next target. So I just think it is a huge thing in Real Housewives to where I feel like when we are integrating races, it ends very badly, and it always ends with the conclusion of possible racism, like how she brought up in Beverly Hills with Garcelle, Dallas with Tiffany. You know, it seems to be very common, even in Salt Lake City with Jenny and what she tried to do with Mary. So I feel like it's very common. My main question really is for you and also the live chat, that do you think that there is an issue with possibly integrating the multiple races, or do you think people are just becoming more aware of the microaggressions that are happening? Because even in Atlanta, for like the first 2 seasons with Kim, no one was really bringing up her microaggression with saying ghetto and being very passive with a lot of the things she was saying. Yeah. So I feel like I just want to know a little bit more, like, how do y'all feel about that? Do y'all think there should be a change? Do y'all think they need to vet people better, which I don't think really can work? But if the network cannot be willing to make a change when it comes to their reunion hosts, that already tells you they're not willing to make any sort of other deep changes when it comes to casting or how casting is handled or how these microaggressions are handled. If they're not willing to just give some of their other people of color in the NBC Universal sphere an opportunity to host these different reunions that are not Andy Cohen produced, that should already tell you at the network level, it's them that don't understand. Exactly. So that's how I feel about it. But thanks, Keith, for calling in. Of course. Bye. All right. Anthony's backstage. We'll bring Anthony up next. Anthony, what did you want to share about Real Housewives of Miami?
Hey, everyone. I'm calling from Los Angeles, California. I'm good. You're good. We're all good, Kempire. I'm going to give this episode an 8 out of 10, as well as this season so far. When Gertie said, when they go low, you go high. And sometimes when they go low, you go lower. I felt that to my core. Julia playing this victim card so much, like Martina playing with that keyboard on Twitter. Goodbye to both of them, as well for the ladies' reaction to Gertie's text. They were more upset by the showing of text than Julia throwing that drink at Gertie. It makes it's nonsense. It makes no sense. I don't get this. I don't get the reaction. Definitely a team up. I don't get it. I like Carmen. But that's it. Thank you so much. Why do you like Carmen? Just from Drag Race? From Drag Race and a little bit after, but she hasn't been on TV for so long, so I get this personality. So she just needs to be refreshed. I hope she turns it around. But so I do like her, but that's because I know her from reality TV. Okay, I was like, did you see something I didn't see in this episode? But okay, thanks, Anthony. No, but that's her personality in general from what I got from Drag Race and her social media presence. But that's flat. Yeah, Yeah, it's a bit flat, but I hope she turns it because this is Housewives. I'm sure she's seen the show, but I don't know. I just have hope.
Okay. Thanks, Anthony.
Yeah, bye.
But here's the thing. And I'm not saying that she needs to be histrionic or be anything that's not herself. I just was not prepared for her to be so flat and also it wasn't just her being flat. It was just sort of like she seemed scared, but probably also seeing these women in their natural habitat, like just flipping out. It's like, I don't know, but okay. All right. Tanisha's backstage. We're going to bring Tanisha up next. Tanisha, what did you want to share?
Hello?
Yes.
Oh, you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I would agree with everyone, and I think that it is racial, but I also think that they just don't like Gertie. So it's a little bit of racial, but it's mostly they just don't like her. And honestly, I feel like she should leave the show just because unless they get more Black people on, which I highly doubt, it's just going to be more of this, and it's going to be unbearable, and I don't feel like it's worth it. Also, what's her name? Larsa, watching her makes me really uncomfortable. Like, the work that she has on her face, like you can see like the ripples on her face. And it's just really sad to see because she was beautiful. And then she keeps lying about all the stuff that she's gotten done. Like she really looks like little Miss Piggy. Sorry. It's unfortunate, but thank you.
Thank you so much, Tanisha. All right. Zena's backstage. We're going to bring Zena up next. Zena, what did you want to share about Real Housewives of Miami? Zena, you're muted. Zena? Are you no longer there, Zena? All right, we're going to drop Zena down. Okay, MK's backstage. MK, what did you want to share?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, so I just wanted to say that I felt really bad for Gertie watching the episode. And I feel like Gertie doesn't need this show. And I think that's why the ladies hate her, because she is a top event party planner on her own. She's been on Vogue. She really doesn't need the show. Nicole doesn't need the show. She's an anesthesiologist. Hello, 8.5. You know, Garcelle doesn't need the show. She's an acclaimed actress, producer, doesn't need the show. And I think that's the main reason that they don't like her and will try to ice her out and folks like her. And like the other caller said, I think something about Gertie's personality also just doesn't mesh with them. So just all of that is just cumulatively not going to work for her. And I feel like her husband really doesn't want her to be on this show. It's honestly beneath Gertie. So I hope for her sake, her peace of mind and her health, this is her last season. Because these ladies will ice her out. And it's not fun to see and to watch as a viewer. It's so triggering. It's really uncomfortable.
Do you think, though, that will just perpetuate the behavior? If they don't like someone, they're just going to do that again, and then that person is removed from the show?
That might happen, but then that may also lead to a decrease in viewership, and then the show gets canceled. And then,
oh, damn.
What are they going to do for money? I mean, honestly, what does Alexia do again for work? What does Marisol do for work? She
screws Todd.
I mean, does he pay though? I mean, I don't know. You know, what does Adriana do for work? What does Marisol do for work? What does Kiki do for work? Like, I know she models, but like, is it really paying like that? What does Larsa do for work? What does Lisa do for work? Like, these are legitimate questions. What do? They need this show. So if they continue in this path and the show gets boring and they turn off all the Black viewers and the other viewers, because I don't think just Black folks are uncomfortable, what's going to happen when this show gets canceled again?
Not again. Damn. All right, MK. Thanks for calling
Just
in.
saying. Bye.
Bye. All right. All right. Zena is back. Just try Zena again. Zena, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey.
Hey, y'all. Wi-Fi's ghetto. Jesus. Good internet on this hot day. No.
And there goes the Wi-Fi. Huh? Oh. Damn. Hello? Hello?
Hey.
Hello? We can't
I love Kuramo. What happened?
See, we can't. I'm sorry, Zena, are you there? Nope. Damn. It's a scheme that Todd set up to come to us with the BS Wi-Fi. It's all right. Mercury retrograde, Zena. Next time? Because Zena's still there, but not there. Damn. It's all right, Zena. Next time, apparently whatever you need to say. I'm sorry. Oh man, that made me laugh because she said the bootleg Wi-Fi, and all of a sudden the Wi-Fi is like, oh. All right. Shout out to everyone still watching on Twitch. We see you guys. Shout out to everyone watching on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Also, shout out to everyone watching on Facebook and, of course, here on YouTube. If you're part of the replay crew, be sure to let us know your thoughts and opinions on the latest episode of The Real Housewives of Miami. If you missed it, we were live on Monday for our Real Housewives of Atlanta recap. Be sure to check that out. You can also hear our recaps on the Kempire podcast. Subscribe today. There's also a special Club Kempire available for the Apple Podcast subscription. You have a free 3-day trial to check out. I'm talking about And Just Like That, Big Brother, White Lotus, and I also spilled tea there. Okay, that's for the grown folks. All right, so be sure to check that out. And don't forget the Kempire After Dark, the villain era, is coming to Atlanta on August 5th. DC on August 22nd, then September 12th, we're back here in New York City. Go get your tickets, guys. Don't wait. Here's the thing. Let me tell you the business of touring. If they see slow ticket sales, that doesn't help for those of you that want me to come back to your city. They have to see people want and anticipate you coming. I'm going to tell you guys about the business of touring. You have to buy. I understand not everyone can, but you have to also understand the business. If they see slow ticket sales, that means, oh, we're not going to book. And I have to say, a lot of you do end up buying last minute, but that's not a good thing for a promoter. All right. Promoters, they want to see that you're selling out quickly. All right. So if you haven't gotten your tickets already, go get your tickets now, because this might be the last time I do it. Just saying. Come on. Very transparent over here. Okay. Theo, I did see that the Real Housewives of Orange County tag lights are out. I'll talk about them tomorrow during our recap of the Real Housewives of Orange County, so stay tuned for that. Thank you to everyone that liked the video. Thank you to everyone that sent in super chats. We appreciate it. Again, more information on everything Kempire, from our merchandise to our cameos, everything like that will be available in the description. I will see you guys in the next one. Be sure to check out everything that you may have missed already this week. We had a lot of Jackie Christie stuff. We had Malcolm and Jamal Warner updates. Be sure to check that out if you haven't already. All right, y'all. I'll see you guys later. Bye, y'all.
Thanks for tuning in to Kempire here on the Kempire Radio Network. As always, you can hear Kempire on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. More information can be found on KempireRadio.com.
Prescription products require completion of an online medication consultation with an independent healthcare provider through the LifeMD platform and are only available if prescribed. Subscription required. Individual results may vary. Additional restrictions apply at lifemd.com. Read all warnings before using GLP-1s. Side effects may include a risk of thyroid C-cell tumors. Do not use GLP-1s if you or your family have a history of thyroid cancer.
Confused on where to start with weight loss medication? See the lowest prices available with or without insurance for Wegovy, Zepbound, and more at trylifemd.com. 95% of LifeMD patients said starting their weight loss journey was simple. Listen to Tara's story after losing 42 pounds.
You just take your shot. It doesn't feel like you're on a diet. What I wasn't expecting it to do was to shut off the food noise. I'd gone from 237 to 195. This was life-altering, and if I can do it, I feel like anybody can do it.
Get your free insurance benefits check in minutes right now at trylifemd.com. Nearly 96% of patients said they would recommend the LifeMD program to anyone who wants to lose weight. Get started right now at trylifemd.com. That's TRYLIFEMD.com.